students. We'll have students on all the committees to create the full membership. So that's our game plan.
That's great.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just got
Comments or questions?
I have one question. Now I was reading this sheet on some samples of beliefs and about learnings. On the final bullet, it addresses students learn best when assessments are varied and allow them to become willing and productive thinkers. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at that, and then I compared it to what was said on slide 13 in that chart when it talks about equity, and you're talking about same outcomes for all students. And I was thinking about what Mr. Birnbach said about innovation versus conformity. And I was afraid, I don't know if I was interpreting this incorrectly, but if we're striving to have learning styles that we want each student to get the same thing out of each lesson, is that something that could be bad or something that we might not be looking to do? Because some of the classes, like if you take, if I compare what, for instance, AP US History is to contemporary world issues, they're both two different classes for different kinds of students. And in AP History, you're based on content and knowing this content for an exam, whereas there isn't a final exam of that sort for democracy. And what's emphasized in democracy is for you to think for yourself and develop what your perception of something is. I'm not saying you don't do that in AP US History, but I was wondering if almost are our APs pushing more of a conformity approach versus what our traditional level 1 and level 2s are producing a more innovative approach. And I'm wondering, is that something that we should look at? Because if we're looking at APs, we should be preaching innovation. And
you know, Jared, you're hitting a really important topic that we want to bring students in on in discussion, because if an AP exam is not one that causes you to think in an open-ended way, to reflect, if it's one that is purely, you know, if you could memorize everything you could memorize, you'll do okay. That's not a good test. Mm-hmm. But that's not what most AP tests ought to be, and I think there's a whole lot of higher order thinking, critical reflection that goes into, you know, the APs that transcend. You may have to know the foundational concepts and facts. Mr. Collins, to your left, as an AP history teacher, can tell you that, I think, quite well, that it was all about really what you did with information that made an AP test a successful one for you, not just knowing content, not knowing facts or being able to regurgitate. Mm-hmm. But where there are other types of tests that are really not looking at how you use this information, how you play with it, how you integrate it with another subject, how you can tweak it, and come up with your own theory, with your own ideas. If you don't have tests like that, then they're not good tests anymore for 21st century schools, and that's what we're going to be focusing on.
Right.
But
Well, yeah, I started the AP program at Andover High School many, many years ago.
my son had you, Mr. Collins.
What?